when a CEO does something crazy and they make money, they call him eccentric.
And I ended up in the car business.
Why Wyatt? Why is Wyatt winning?
I was working hard. I was doing what I was supposed to do as a man for my family, but I felt unfulfilled.
How do you cultivate that if you came from a place, didn't exist, parents, no one poured into you, all you got is you?
You know, 6 figures a year salary. That's not bad, but I just wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted to make a bigger impact.
You commit to being here a year, or are you more like, maybe if it works out?
I think it's imperative that you have an irrational self-belief.
Do you believe in angels? Yep. If an angel appeared to you and told you,
I really had to swallow that pill that I am lazy, that I am not a hard enough worker to make this work.
Agabor here, president of FFL Haven. Welcome to our Enter the Haven Team Huddle. So the topic we're going to have prior to getting our guest trainer on is 2 things that I'm going to be quick because he's coming on in about 10 minutes. 2 things. Here's one thing I'll share with you. The question I always suggest that you do whenever you're looking at trainings, write your notes in questions, almost like Jeopardy, right? Because here's what happens. Remember this phrase if you're taking notes, and if you're not, do so, because the mind is more engaged when you're writing than just, tableting, whatever else it is. Commitment is doing the thing you said you would do long after the feeling in which you left that event, that emotion has left you. That's commitment. Here's the challenge. If you write notes just on statements, the problem is you'll read it a week later, you're not in that same feeling. And so it won't activate that desire you have. But here's what happens. If you write yourself in the notes in questions, things that trigger the mind, it'll almost reactivate that feeling for you. So that's just the first note. So when I'm just kind of just piggyback off of the question that I asked myself is, what history, what did I have? What proof in the past did I have that would say I would be successful here? What guarantees in the past do you have that would prove your success here? So for some of us, it's 0. We say that, but the truth is we just not been looking. I'm going to share with you maybe some things just to focus on. And if you can just hone in on these small things, I call them the slight edge, you will win, period. You're going to win. So here's one thing I suggest. And this is a story from my upbringing. So some of you know, as a missionary, I'm not, never, nor will I ever be apologetic about what I believe. And I'm knocking doors, and I didn't know that at the time. We were just door knocking. And I'm looking to help people elevate their belief in Christ. And the goal was, most people say that they believe, but we were looking to take them to a different level. So we were knocking doors, looking for different folks. And we were nice about it at first. And I guess most folks. And you're nice knocking people's doors who were, looking, and they were saying that they were believing, but they wouldn't. They would no-show us, all these things that were happening. I got sick of it. All right. This is just me, right? I say, you know what? The Bible says the field is white. So where are these folks? I said, you know what? Am I asking the right questions? So I started becoming more bold. And trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. So stick with me. And so we knock on the door, and I just started getting bold. I was like, okay, listen, my name is, so-and-so. I'm here with my companion. I would say something like, hey, we're here to share a message about Jesus Christ. And they would say that they believe. I say, hey, here's the question. If Jesus said, hey, you should go do this. If don't believe me, believe him. If he told you this, would you give us 5 minutes? He goes, yeah, okay. Well, would you just go ahead and give us 5 minutes, and then we can go through it. Now, here's what happened. I just hit him straight. If I said something like this, if an angel appeared, I said, do you believe in angels? Yep. If an angel appeared to you and told you that you should do X, Y, Z, would you do it? Yeah. Okay. Do you believe in prayer? Yep. Okay. So you don't have to believe what I'm going to say. I promise you, if you pray and ask him, he'll tell you. Can we get 5 minutes? The folks that said no, they weren't going to do it anyway. That's my first thing. So I was just trying to think of ways I can find the people looking for me. I'm going somewhere with this. And what's interesting is I ran across this one lady, and this blew me away. She says, I'm a believer. I said, really? Okay. She tells me about this. I said, listen, let me ask you a question. I know you've been doing this for how many years now? 20 years? If God himself, and you knew it was him, told you that you needed to go down that street, do something different, and you knew it was him, would you do it? She said, no. I said, what the? Wait, I'm saying the same one you prayed to, you wouldn't do it. We left. And that blew me away. But here's what that told me. Some people just do this and they're not serious. I learned something from that. So I'm going to come back to that. Second thing, we were going and we were just knocking. I'm thinking to myself, this is going too slow. How are we going to change the world talking to one person at a time? I'm like, listen, bro, we got to go do something. So I'm just thinking of these ideas, how to speed the process, because I believe in something called the slight edge. If you do a little bit, lots will happen. I said, hey, let's just, why are both of us in the same door? Like, you knocked that one, I knocked this one. My guy's like, well, what if they both say yes to come in? I'm like, well, that's a nice problem to have, ain't it? We'll say, hey, let's finish with this person, help him out, share a message, and then we'll help the other person out. It rarely ever happened. And we developed, it's not new, something called double knocking, right? And we just go, boom, boom, boom. Hey, me and my guy over there, and they look over there because we were up in Philly. They're like, yeah, hey, we're just missionaries, and boom. And they would say, no, hey, elder. They said yes. Boom, we sped up the process, right? So it was the same people, just max process. Here's what I'm saying. From that history, here's what I learned. There are certain people that are ready now. You just have to find them. The question is speed. So yeah, you don't want to necessarily speed up certain things, but there are certain things you can do. So when it kind of fast forward, that was called the slight edge. I knew that if I just kept looking, kept asking the question, hey, can we share a message? Can we share a message? The right people will appear. And again, sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. Maybe you're not ready. I have stories where we were in the city for, I'm talking weeks, hadn't found anybody. No one was interested. I'm saying, God, and I'm saying, I knew I had to change, right? I'm saying, God, I don't know what's wrong with me. Something, I knew it was me. And as soon as I humbled myself, that same week, out of the blue, someone says, hey, y'all preach Jesus? I said, yeah, hey, I've been trying to change my life. Man, they said, hey, where y'all been? I've been living here we've been walking around that city for weeks and we didn't find. All I'm saying is, here's what I learned. The slight edge is there. Same process when it came to leads. So that was my history. Some of us, as we go through this process, we have forgotten, or we don't have anything we can link onto that's proof in the past that we will succeed in the future. For me, it had nothing to do with FFL. It had nothing. It was simply about the process. And some of us have no testimony, if you will, about the process. That same process I've used for everything. I don't care how bad or how new I am on anything. Here's what I know. If I just commit to the small, simple activity, as long as those activities are legit, they're sound, they're solid, I will win. And here, how can I win faster? Well, speed the process, right? Compress time. So that's one thing I want to consider for some of you. Think back and hey, you may say you don't have anything, you do. You've become a master at things before. Walking, talking, right? Driving, these small things we take for granted. You've done it, but the problem is you've forgotten what it took to become a master. We've had these careers. Some of us had our dreams broken. Our dream machine is dusty, right? The world has beat us up and tell us this is what is possible. We come into this, someone says, hey, believe a little bit. You can do more, you can become more. And because we've forgotten what it took to become a master, we are babies. And it takes a lot of humility to humble yourself to say, I suck, right? Think about it. People who they've been walking, talking their whole lives, they get into some accident, car accident. They have to learn to walk again. Some people give up emotionally. You've seen the movies, you've seen the stories of the ones that we love. They didn't give up. They learned to walk again. It took them weeks, months. That is humbling. I'm telling you this, it's happened to me several times. And when I learned the lesson, that's when it took off for me. You guys know the story, top of the world. I got this tumor, I'm an athlete, my legs, I couldn't move. It was terrible because I was so used to, and my identity was me moving. That was my identity. And I had to honestly recheck myself to say, hey, do you really believe that you're more than your body? Once I realized, wait, I am more than my body. It don't matter whether my legs work or not. I'm a child of God and so forth. That changed me. And once that changed, all of a sudden I got my confidence back and here I am again. So remember, you do have things you can latch onto. It's about the slight edge. So it doesn't matter whether the lead didn't answer. Here's what you know. You go through the process. As long as your activities are right, it'll work out. The last thing I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm hoping our guests will be okay with this. There's this concept that I developed some time back. I call it the Haven 12, okay? I'm going to share my screen, and I'm hoping people will appreciate this. The Haven 12, it's how many of you would appreciate a crystal ball? How many of you would appreciate knowing right now whether or not you were going to succeed? Like you would like to know right now, right? Everyone raises their hands. All right, so here's what we call the Haven 12. You can know whether you're going to win or not simply by this. So here's what I call it. These 12, if you do the first 6 or 5, you'll know whether you're going to win. So submit to the process of 100. I was told when I got in this game, do 100 appointments. You're not an expert until you've done 100. When I was going to go telesales, I was a little bit scared because I went in and I sucked. I went from helping 30, 40, 50 families a month. My first month doing telesales, I did 15, and that was not good, right? Business bills, personal bills. And here's what I found out. I was doing it incorrectly. Here's what I was told, and this was sage advice. I was told, he said, Mac, do it as if you were going back in home. And what was I told? Go through, don't even look at the scoreboard until you've done 100 appointments, actual sits. I said, okay. And in order to do that, you have to believe in yourself. And so I just literally, I reallocated all my focus, and I just went 100 sits, and bam, because of that focus, it worked. So if you're new, if you're brand new, I don't care where you are, at every level, there's a different devil. You're going to look to increase your quantum leap is taking to another level. Commit to 100 appointments today, like brand new today. So if you commit to 100, great. If you're more like, maybe not, I'm going to say give yourself a 10 if you commit to 100. Give yourself a 0 if you're like, maybe not. Or sorry, if you're like, I don't know. If you're like, maybe not, give yourself a 5. So you're going to rate yourself from a 1 to a 10 on each, whether you commit. Number 2, invest in leads every week. Do you commit to investing leads weekly? Weekly, not whether or not they work, weekly. If you say yes, give yourself a 10. If you say no, 0. If you say maybe, if I get money back, give yourself a 5. Number 3, do you commit to dial days? Now, this is whether you're doing in-home or telesales. Number 3, do you commit to dial days? If you commit to dial days, Mondays, the book for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, commit to Friday and Saturday, give yourself a 10. If you say, maybe, it depends, if it's wishy-washy, and hey, be real with yourself, because the judge of this will be you. Give yourself a 5 if you're wishy-washy, 0 if you're like, maybe. Again, run days. Do you commit to booking 15, 30 appointments a week, right? If it's part-time, 15, full-time, 30, right? If so, 10, if not, 0. And again, sharpen your sword every day. You're reading every day. You're not reading, but you're learning a new skill, right? Learning the same skill, but you're sharpening it, like learning on a daily. Are you listening to a podcast? If you're brand new, you're not listening to a podcast or someone doing better who is an expert at what you're doing. I don't care whether it's 5 minutes on a daily basis, you're in trouble. So here's what I'm going to share with you real quick before Wyatt comes on. Add those numbers up that you rated yourself and divide by 5. That will give you your percentage success rate in this business, like right now. Some of you, listen, here's what I was taught. You might as well begin with the truth because you're going to end up with it. Some of us, we got a 40%, 50%. Some of us, hey, don't you want to at least know you're only at 70? Hey, 70 is better than 40. Here's the point of whatever it is, this is you right now, right? Now, that's just for you being a producer. Now, for you actually building a business, this is the full Haven 12. Are you sharing the FFL story with 2 people a day, right? It don't matter who it is, just, hey, asking the questions, somehow reaching out to be able to build a business. Just 2 a day, that's it. If not, give yourself a 0. If so, give yourself a 10. If maybe 1, give yourself a 5. So next one, do you attend a weekly training, which is a team huddle in this case? Do you actually commit to getting trained on a weekly basis? Is this something that's ingrained in your schedule? If so, 10, if not, 0, right? Do you come in every once in a while? 5. Do you attend a sales conference? And every personal development speaker will tell you right now, you should once a quarter go to a sales conference of something to kind of revive you. Yeah, and we have sales conferences all over the country. We were getting them a lot, but if you do, give yourself, of course, a 10. If not, Give yourself a 0. National conference. Are you committed to going? If you went, hey, I'll give you this pass. If you just attended, give yourself a 10. If you're committed to going and you just got in, 10. If you could have gone, but you did not, give yourself a 0. And then, of course, 10, are you committed to personal development? Last one, last 3, 10 pages a day of a good book every day, right? The Slight Edge, things like that. Do you have a workout partner? Number 11, someone who will hold you accountable, right? If so, 10, if not 0. I'm talking someone that will hold you accountable. Someone who every day you say, hey, I did my dials today. Hey, I read my books today. That's just one person in the team or outside of the team, somebody. There's something about a coach. Sorry, there's something about having someone outside. I mean, not a coach, maybe a peer, maybe someone who's just barely above you that's going to help you out. Last one, do you commit to be here 1 year? Just give this 1 year, 12 months of just dedicated focus. Do you commit to being here a year, or are you more like, maybe if it works out? That same lack of faith is the reason you're reaping the results you're reaping, because you are not committed. And the universe will reap what you're actually sowing. Guys, again, add all these numbers, divide by 12, and that is your success rate in FFL. So there's a little bit more, but we don't have time. Let me go ahead and get myself out of the way. Here's a guy that from day one, you ever meet those people who just impress you, not only from their stature, but just from their wording, just from their posture. And again, I've said it for a couple of different people, but Wyatt's a guy, I would say he fits the mold of relaxed intensity. He looks like he's going to beat you up, but he'll love you to death too, right? But he speaks boldly. So Wyatt, I appreciate you, man. We're going to do this like locker room style. A lot of folks, they need straight talk. So let's start off and ask this. I love some of the things you've said in the past about how the good book says it is written. Like your success is already written. What we do here in FFL has already been done. So just go back. How did you even get here? Like, why FFL? What kind of transpired? And we'll kind of go from there.
Bro, Mac, first of all, man, I'm so honored to be on this thing, man. I respect you and your wife, your team, what you guys have done so much. And, you know, look, if you've got new agents on this call, this shows you the power of visualization, because before I even got contracted, taking a test, I envisioned myself being invited on these calls, you know, in a humble way. Just, I'm going to work hard enough until I can get a little bit of success and then be able to give back to these people that have given so much to me. So with that being said, it's an honor. You know, and the other thing, man, I've got to mention, I'd be remiss if I didn't. I'm only here because of the grace of a loving God. That's number one.
100%.
Look, man, I try to run my life for a long time. And when Wyatt runs his life, he doesn't do a very good job of it. So the other thing, look, if there's people on this call that feel like there's that hole in your chest that you just can't fill, I know where you've been at, and there's only one thing that filled it. Okay, my life really changed 7 years ago. Some things transpired, and I made a decision that I was going to walk the correct path. And I ended up in the car business. Started as a car washer, working $10 an hour, and worked my way up into fixed operations. So, you know, 7 years later, I'm managing a $2 million inventory at the, you know, prettiest and brightest Toyota dealership in the region. And it was kind of a dream job. I used to drive by that dealership for years, telling my wife, look at that, you know, one day I want to work there. And sure enough, it happened. But then something funny happened, man. Like we broke this all-time record that had been in place since the 80s. I was managing a group of 17 people. We broke this record, and I woke up the next day and I didn't feel any different. I was working hard. I was doing what I was supposed to do as a man for my family, but I felt unfulfilled. And I think that in some of us, there is this desire to branch out on our own and really push it to the limits and see, what can I really make of myself? I know I come from a lower middle class background. I know really nobody from my family has made it out. Mm-hmm. But what if I could? And I knew I wasn't going to get there on, you know, 6 figures a year salary. That's not bad, but I just wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted to make a bigger impact. I wanted to start something for myself and my family. And then so the search started, and it was a lot of praying, man. It was like, is it real estate? Do I get my real estate license? I didn't know what it was. And one
real
day I
quick,
was
Wyatt,
listening.
Isn't it crazy how 6 figures is not much anymore? I remember the days when I thought I had made it.
Nothing.
Oh, I hit 6 figures, that's it. But
Bro,
ain't much anymore.
my mom always told me, just if you can make 6 figures, you're set. And that was it. That was the number. And then I did it, and I realized this really is not a lot. And my wife and I aren't extravagant people, but just in today's society, 6 figures is not a lot of money. It's sad to say, but it's the truth. And so, dude, I'm listening to this podcast one day, and this crazy bald dude, Sean Mike, hops on there. And I'm like, what? Who is this guy? What is he talking about? What is FFL? And that's the path God led me on, man. And I looked up FFL, and I found Will Lore in an office 5 minutes from my house. So
you actually Googled Family First Life.
Yeah, 100%. And then the same day I decided I wanted to do FFL, I drove to the office, walked in, and said, "Hey, I'm going to be an agent for you." And that's where it started for me.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. You walked in and say, "Hey, I'm going to be your agent." Well, hey, if there's
100%.
build, because if you know Will, he's a man of God, and he was looking people. And ain't that something that people just kind of come on? So if you're looking to, there's a story I always heard about two farmers. You know, they were both praying for rain. Which one was the one that had the faith? One that planted, even though there was a drought, or one that was waiting, right? So again, note for those that are builders: if you build it, they will come. So keep going. So you got with Will, and the rest is history.
Yep.
So I want to kind of go through some of just rapid fire, if that's okay with you. Prerequisite mindset. You're one of the best people on breaking down in simple fashion what mindset is. For some of you that don't know, when we hear the word mindset, we sometimes think kumbaya, but you guys have heard of the word prerequisites in college. So in college, you have to have certain prerequisites to attend a certain class. And if you don't have those prerequisites, you're not going to be able to attend the class. You can show up at the door, you can try to sign up, but if they do things electronically, it's like, it won't let you in. Mindset is certain prerequisites required to win. So if you can kind of tell us why Wyatt? Why is Wyatt winning? What kind of mindset do you have going into a dial day, going into an appointment?
I can tell you this, dude. I think it's imperative that you have an irrational self-belief. I really, really believe that within the lines of reality, we all must believe in ourselves almost to a level that the people that love us most can't even see, because they have their own limiting beliefs, right? But I've always had that. Sometimes it's gotten me in trouble, and sometimes it's fared me well. But I think it's 3 things. Number 1, I've always felt, for whatever reason, that I was meant for more, that I was meant to make a bigger impact, that I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I have certain qualities that some people may not, just like we all do, right? So I always believed that I was meant for more. Number 2, I believe in my work ethic. That's it. Like, you cannot fake confidence, right? That has to come from this understanding that I'm going to show up and work. What I lack in skill, I will make up for in sheer toughness, determination. The other part of it, man, is I give myself credit for my good intentions. And I don't think we do that enough. I know I want to do well for people. I want to make people happy and serve them. I think those 3 things combined give you this irrational self-belief. And so that's the simplest way I can break down mindset. I'd also say this, man, that forget about motivation. Everything you see is motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Yeah. It's going to be here one day and gone the next, bro. That is it. I can tell you
going back to work ethic. Some of us, we grew up in the United States of America, which is the greatest country in the world, despite its flaws. Right. And we've been almost bred in this fishbowl of what work is. And so some of us, let's say we came from background where we thought we were working. And we're doing the best we know how, but it's not, producing results. How do you handle that person who thinks they have work ethic, but they're not working, or it's not working for them?
I'll tell you this, I'll tell you how I handle myself, bro. I had to have a very honest conversation with myself, because I don't like lazy people. I've always said I am not lazy. I may be a million things, but I'm not going to be lazy. Okay, but what worked for me in a salaried environment or a whatever W-2 environment, right? What I thought was hard work was exposed when I came over and started my own thing. Okay, within those first couple weeks, Mac, of doing this business, I really had to swallow that pill that I am lazy, that I am not a hard enough worker to make
Crazy.
this work.
That's crazy.
It's
Car
crazy,
guy
man.
who works from bell to bell is lazy.
100%. It's different. This is different, man. This is going to require, I tell people when I hire them, this is going to take more from you than you thought you have to give. But if you could follow through on that, it'll give you more than you ever thought you could get. And that's just the truth of it, man. Like, I think all of us have to face that. This job, you're going to have to pour into it, man, more than you ever have to anything else.
What I heard someone say is FFL will either expose or promote your actual work ethic, right? And this go back to what you said.
That's so true.
You talked about being an irrational belief, meaning it is cray-cray. You've heard of those people who are crazy, like in the loony house? You have to have a loony house belief in yourself, right? And here's what's cool about it. You guys have seen all these CEOs. When a CEO does something crazy and they make money, they call him eccentric, right? It's a nice word for crazy, right? But when he's just crazy and he's like broke like a joke, you're just crazy, right? But you have to have an eccentric belief in what you're doing. How do you cultivate that if you came from a place, didn't exist, parents, no one poured into you, all you got is you, your lights may be flickering, but it's not flickering bright?
Oh, that's a great question, man. I can tell you this, I'm so blessed and fortunate. There's been certain people in my life, because I had a rough family situation growing up. Unfortunately, I wasn't raised with the typical, mother, father as any lucky kid is, right? Mm-hmm. But there are certain people that came into my life that really influenced me. But I think it's pretty this simple, man. If you have a desire in your heart for more and you just back that up with a dogged work ethic, you will succeed eventually. I truly believe that. And I think that you cannot have that sort of confidence in yourself if you don't understand how hard you can work. Does that make sense? Like, that's the actual backbone. That's the rational part of the irrational belief.
Love it.
Of like, yesterday I door knocked for 8 hours, man. And there were like 60-degree winds in Albuquerque because I had 5 cancellations. I'm not the greatest, but that's just how I have to back up that belief. Like, I'm willing to do that crap.
I love it. Something that I heard, and I think it fits the bill here, is talking about activity. No matter where you came from, massive activity, work hard work will expose your weaknesses. Like, if you thought you were bad or you didn't know you were bad, it will open the curtain. You will see how bad you are, how much you suck. But here's what's cool. Massive activity will also heal those same weaknesses. So going back to what Wyatt's saying, despite where you came from, despite your upbringing, hard work pays off. It will heal you. And hey, maybe it's just it happening, but I know it works because it's worked for not only him, me, and everyone else. Let me jump back and say this. I remember there's this meme, if you look at on TikTok, my kids play it all the time. I play it for my kids. They say, hey, is this coach talking to this group? He says, lazy people do a little bit of work and think they should be winning. But winners work hard as possible and still worry that they're being lazy. Isn't that interesting how that works, right? You got that thing that you're looking behind your back. Let me kind of go
past forward. Sometimes.
Hard work here is the phone work. 90%, 85% of the work here we do is phone work. Tell us about how you go into a dial day. What are some hacks mentally, maybe word tracks? Just break it down to us as if you were just doing a phone workshop, because that is the hardest part of this business. Would you agree?
100%. That is the root of all of our troubles or all of our successes is the phones. You break it down that simply. I truly believe, right? If you're a new agent, or when I was new, I understood that the only way, because I think comfort is the secret on the phones. I've noticed it. Some days when I'm comfortable, I crush it. That's when I find momentum. I book 6 in a row, whatever the case. But you cannot find comfort until you've done the reps. It's like the same way with the gym, right? If you don't work out, the reason you don't go to the gym, the truth is because you're uncomfortable in there. You don't feel like yourself. After a period of time, you get that comfort level when things change. So repetition is number one for a new agent. You just got to be willing to suck, man. You got to be willing to call for 13 hours and accept that the results may not be what you want them. So that's it. Number one is
13 hours for real?
What's that?
Is it a true story that how long did you, when you started, how long did you have to do 13?
14 hours, 12 to 14 hours.
How long did it?
12 to 14 hours. The first month, I'd say. The first month. Yep. And then that was all CRM leads. So I dialed all CRM leads my first month. And then I went through a month of that, and then I switched up my leads and I started doing Facebook final expense, and I was getting my dial days done in 8 hours, 9 hours, because it's in my opinion, a little bit easier, higher intent lead, but I had already gone through the fire.
Now, did you have to pay a little bit more, a higher price point for those leads?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And learning to be okay with that. That's another thing about this business that I noticed with new agents. If you come from a job where, you know, you're on a salary hourly, you're not used to spending money on yourself and on your business, and that's terrifying. But if you're going to make this thing work, man, you've got to spend money. There's just no other way to put it. As far as the phones go, here's what I've noticed lately, man. When I walk into a dial day without, I know this kind of sounds sacrilegious, but without any expectation of outcome. Like, I know what I need to happen, right? 15 to 18 appointments for Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
But when I walk in detached from that result, I do so much better.
What are you
that's aided?
To? If you're not attached to the results, what are you attached to?
That call, man. I'm just attached to that call. I'm just on to the next call, and I try to leave that last crappy call where that lady cussed me out. I just try to forget about it, man. She wasn't serious yet. There's nothing I could have said. Maybe there was, but right. I try to stay detached from the outcome, man. And just being almost like sure that I am going to sit here all day and dial, and just having this confidence deep down that eventually I will get the result that I want. But I think what happened to me, man, in the beginning was I was so attached to one no, and it messed up 3 hours, right? A 2-minute call messed up 3 hours of dialing.
How did you get out of it?
Because my tonality started to change. Just more reps.
Got it.
Just more action. Just more action, man. I think that's the solution to all this stuff. It's not too complicated, right?
That's good. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
The other thing, man, is structuring my dial days. Like a couple weeks ago, actually, I was not having the results that I wanted for my dial days. And I looked at it. I was starting at like 9 o'clock, 9:30, 9:15. I went through this little stretch after conference where I was very, very lazy on my start time. Not only that, I didn't have my leads organized. So I think that plays a part. Like 8 o'clock, the first freaking ring starts. That means at 7:45, I want to be reading emails. I want to have my dial tracker, my leads, my iPad, I want it all laid out, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's big. I think if you walk into a dial day disorganized, you're going to be disorganized and not get the results you want.
You do it the day before?
No, I do it the same morning, but I just give myself time. I have like where my leads are going to be and stuff like that. But
got it.
Going into a dial day organized.
Structure. Any other hacks you got for us? Just that are critical prerequisites to set yourself up to win?
A big part too is feeling like I was bothering people in the beginning. Like, here's the deal, man. I have an insurance license and I have a desire to help people. Again, I'm giving myself credit for my intentions. So when I call people, I no longer feel like I'm bothering them. It's very much simple in my mind of you're just not ready, or I am going to help you. That's as simple as I keep it in my mind. And so just going in the understanding, I'm not bothering people, man. When I call you, I am really maybe the only person right now that can help you protect your family. So I go into that with that mindset. Other hacks, I don't know.
That's good. Let's hear what it sounds like. I know obviously you're doing some final expense Facebook leads, right? So what does a normal script sound like? Just so we can kind of hear it. And then we'll go through some objections. So if you have it, or you just call me, ring. And
Matt,
you call me. Yep.
Hey, Mac, this is Wyatt, medical underwriter with Bernalillo County. Hey, I'm calling about the form that you filled out the other day for the state regulated final expense programs. You had put quilting as your favorite hobby.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And hey, just to confirm, I've got you here in Albuquerque at 123 Main Street, and then a birth year of 1976.
Yeah. What's this about again?
Okay. This is about the form you filled out for the final expense programs. I'm just the local underwriter here out of Albuquerque assigned to get the information to you. And real quick, Mac, when you filled this out, I mean, are you just looking for info on basic funeral or cremation expense coverage? Or are
Yeah.
you more trying to leave some money behind your family?
Yeah, just a basic funeral.
Okay. And that should be pretty straightforward. I mean, the way that they do it, there's about 24 companies you can shop. You can kind of look at all of them. My job is just to get with you, ask you some health questions, and see who you're eligible with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. And Mac, are you working, retired, disabled?
I'm retired right now.
Okay. Okay. And are you married, divorced, widowed?
Yeah, I'm married.
Okay. And hey, Mac, are we just looking for you right now, or does your wife need some information as well?
Just me, just me.
Okay, you got it. And by the way, I think what you're looking for is pretty straightforward. It should probably take me about 10, 15 minutes. I'll be out in the field the next couple of days. Okay, I'm not going to have a lot of time. Let me see. What's typically better for you, Mac? Sometime in the morning or the afternoon?
No, I need to go with the wife. Can you call me back?
No, here's what I'm going to do. So we have about 1,000 of these requests coming in a week, Mac. So here's what I'll do. I've got a little slot between about 5 and 7 o'clock. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put you down tentatively. Okay. Talk to your wife. If that time doesn't work for you, just go ahead and give me a call back. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I'm busy at 7. I'm busy at 7 o'clock.
Okay. When's usually a good time for you? I mean, it'll probably only take us about 10 minutes. I know you're busy. I'm very busy as well. When's typically a good time for you? Set aside 10 minutes.
Maybe 5 or 4.
Okay.
Going out to bingo that night.
Okay. Here's what I'll do. I have a 4:15. Okay. I'm only going to have about 20 minutes, so we'll have to make it quick, but
Okay.
I think we should be okay. Will you be home at 4:15?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. Grab a pen and paper. I'm going to give you my name so that you have it. Okay, I give him my name, and then I say, hey, Mac, look, I know you got stuff going on. It's a long drive for me, which is okay. But is there any reason you wouldn't be there tomorrow? I've got a boss that breathes down my neck. I know you know how it is.
No, I should be there.
You should or you will. Can I count on you being there? You're not going to leave me out in the cold?
Yeah, I'll be there. Okay.
All right, man. I'm about 6 feet tall, curly hair. When I knock on the door, don't shoot, okay?
I like that. I was going to ask, Naz, that's good.
Right.
How do you handle, what are your tie downs? Have you found anything that's better and increase your show ratio?
Yeah, what I just said. So I had a big problem last about a month ago, I'd say, where I had people no-show me left and right. I called Stephen Yee and we worked on it. And so what I do is I have them get a pen. Here's another little tip, a little hack. I don't ask people if they have a pen. I don't ask people if they can grab a pen. I say, Mac, grab a pen and paper for me. I'm going to have you write down my name so that you have it. That's not a question, because I've fumbled on that before. They're like, oh, I don't have it. I tell them to grab it. That's number one. I have them write down my name. I have them write down the time. I tell them what I look like. And then I say, hey, Mac, is there any reason you wouldn't be there tomorrow? I usually say it's a pretty far drive for me and my boss has me on a tight leash. I just need to make sure that you'll for sure be there for about 10 minutes.
That's good.
And that little tie down works because I think people relate to that, having a boss breathe down their neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. That's really
so that's help. But then I get a bunch of cancellations. So you never fix the problem totally.
Sure.
It's just people. People are messy, bro.
I heard you do something, and maybe you can share it here. What is a qualified door knock?
Yes. So, like, kind of what your objection is, right? We walked through it, but if that objection you threw out was, "Hey, can you call me back? I need to talk to my wife." no, you can't call me back. I'm going to set you up at this time. If I have somebody who is pushing back, maybe I say 2 to 3 objection handles I go at them with, and they're still not going to budge. Me personally, I don't think I've ever gotten a hold of somebody twice. I've sure as heck never had somebody call me back. So what I realized was the best thing for me to do is to go all out on this call when I start getting that type of pushback. So what I did is I have this little objection, and it goes like this, technically is what I'll say. I'll say, hey, I completely understand, Mac. With your permission, I'm going to just remove you from the appointment list since you're busy. And if I have time while I'm in the area, I'll just drop it off so you don't have to commit to an appointment. Is that better for you?
Yeah.
So then what I'll do is I'll write those names in a little box on the top of my appointment book, just qualified door knocks. So maybe if I go into a dial day with 4, 5, or 6 of them, when I have a no-show or no appointment, whatever the case, that right there is a better door knock than someone I've never spoken to. There's at least a little bit of rapport built.
I love it.
And so that's worked pretty well for me.
Tell me about your schedule. I mean, you're going to be a Hall of Fame producer this year. What does your current schedule look like on a weekly?
Full time, 6 days a week, and I'm about to change that. I'm going to start dialing on Sundays.
Okay.
I need a little extra juice. But I dial Monday, run in the field Tuesday, Wednesday. I dial Thursday, in the field Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. I would say I send 10 to 12 hours on the phone on average, Monday and Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then I start my first appointment at 9 a.m.
Why 9?
I'm typically back in the door.
Why 9?
It seemed to me that the more people I talked to, 9 was a good start time. If it were up to me, I'd start my appointments at 6, but it was just so few and far between. And the other thing was, I noticed that appointments before 9 always tended to be freaking no-shows. And I think maybe it's the demographic where I am, especially when I'm working with retired folks, right?
Got it.
I just noticed I was getting a lot more no-shows before 9. So I said, hell with it. I'll just start them at 9. And that's worked a little bit better. So I'll run 9 till as long as it takes. You know what I mean? Last night I was back in the door at 6:45. I think the night before I was back at almost 8. So it depends, but
I love it.
That's right, kind of how I run it.
Rapid fire questions. Most number of families you helped?
28.
28 families.
No, sorry, Mac. That's what I'm tracking. 32 is the most I ever helped.
32. That's awesome. The hardest part for the business for you right now?
Momentum.
Tell us more about that.
I think right now is a great time for you to have me on a call because I've been getting my butt kicked for 4 weeks. You know, I'm tracking good numbers, right? But they're fake numbers because I've had chargebacks, man. It's like every other day I wake up to a chargeback. Mm-hmm. I've had cancellations like you wouldn't believe. Yesterday, 5 of my appointments canceled. Mm-hmm. This is what it's been for 3. I had lead flow trouble, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a great time for you to have me on, man, because it's like we watch the podcast, right? And everybody's just amazing. Hey, everything's amazing. I'm here to tell you that people I know and respect, we all go through the crap. Yep. And my only strategy is how can I get better? And I'm on to the next one. Because I know, Mac, that one day, whether it's tomorrow or in a week, I'm going to be driving home to my family, having just wrote 5,000, 10,000 in a day. I just don't know when that momentum shifts, but it's not my job to think about that, bro. It's just my job to get into the next action. Absolutely. So I've had a lot of problems with that. You know what I mean? Just, it's kind of been one thing after another. God really put me through some trials. I don't know, but I love that's the toughest part right now.
Thank you for your transparency. Your best part of the business.
Absolutely. Right, best part of the business right now. Gosh dang. That's hard. My connection with people in FFL, man. I'll tell you what, there's more people, men and women in this business that are just some of the coolest people you'd ever run across, man. Love it. And I feel very supported and loved and all that stuff.
I love it. What kind of things do you track? And by the way, throw your questions down on the chat while we as we wrap up. What kind of things do you track during a dial day?
Do I track?
Yeah, like what kind of things do you track in your dial tracker doing a dial day?
Gotcha. So every call I make, now actually I should rephrase that. Every person I call. So if I call a person 3 times, I'm only writing 1 slash. Okay. So every person I call, every pickup, every objection, or I would say no appointment set, and then every appointment set. So I run the typical state-of-the-art FFL dial tracker with the little cubes. And look, man, if there's any agents on this call, especially new, that are not using a dial tracker, you're selling yourself short. Because here's the deal. In a dial day, we can get in our heads and have a skewed view of reality. We can think, oh my God, I haven't set an appointment in 3 hours. But you can look at your dial tracker and say, wait a minute, every column I set 1 appointment. Now that's not a lot, but if I just did 15 columns, I'd have 15 appointments, right? Or if I look and I say, damn, I have a bunch of X's on my sheet today. Something's wrong with my script. Something's wrong with my tone. You know what I'm saying? A dial tracker tells you a lot of things, man, about your dial day that you need to know.
Tells you everything.
So I would
we
throw
got
that
2
in there.
questions here.
Yeah.
One's asking, what do you do with in-homes that don't want to apply for coverage while you're there?
Number one, man, I reduce sales pressure, right? So my biggest goal when I'm there is for them to understand that rule number 1 is just finding you a carrier that'll cover you. Okay, so I'll say, Mary, I'm an underwriter. Okay, I don't get to make the decision of if the carrier covers you or not, unfortunately. The carrier is going to make the final call if they do that. All we're going to do today is we're going to submit a request of coverage when we find something that makes sense. If you get denied, which we potentially will, I don't want you to worry about that. You know, I'll call you, I'll come back out, whatever the case, but we'll go on to the next carrier. So I say that within 5 minutes of being there. That just reduces sales pressure of like, hey, we're not buying anything today. We're submitting a request to see if you'll get covered. So that is important to do in the first couple minutes, because right at the end, when I'm asking them for checking and routing or whatever the case, and they give me an objection, I can just say, hey, Mary, remember how we said we're just submitting a request today? You know, we first, number 1, need to see if they'll cover you. And then if they do, all the carriers know you need to think about it. And they give us a 35-day free look period. You know, we can adjust it up, adjust it down, whatever you want to do. But right now we're just submitting a request. So that's it. You know, I don't really fight them on that objection. I just help them understand it, that we're not buying anything technically.
Love it.
Right?
It's good. It's good. Now, if they keep pushing, they still don't want to relent. At what point do you say and you call it good?
I've gotten better at that, man. And it's an instinctual thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. A couple weeks ago, man, I talked to this lady for 15 minutes about her checking and routing number.
Wow.
Right hand to God, dude. Went back and forth for 15 minutes. She finally gave it to me, and then 2 weeks later, she canceled. But I left the house and submitted the app. So there is a time to confront them on that.
Yeah.
And we hear it all the time, man. An objection is really just a concern. They don't understand something. They don't trust you, whatever the case. But I just try to hear them out on that and walk through the objection logically. But look, there are also people that just aren't serious. Right. They're just not serious about it. And right. And I don't have a hard and fast rule for when that is. I think that's kind of a gut thing. That's awesome. Know what I'm saying?
And the last question, last 2, do you run full-time or do you more of a hybrid approach of the in-home as well as telesales? And second question is, how do you close appointments to help reduce chargebacks?
So I'm doing pretty much full-time in the field right now. I'd say I maybe have between 2 and 4 phone appointments a week. Those are people that are far or hesitant to meet, whatever the case. Probably make a shift soon. As far as chargebacks, so I didn't have like a chargeback for my first 2 or 3 months in the business. And then they started rolling. So I think number 1, just being there and caring about people and building a strong enough why is obviously going to reduce a chargeback, right? The other thing, a mistake I made, sometimes, as Will says, you can be too good in a home, right? You sit down with a couple and you guys click so well and they trust you so much that you throw them a higher premium than they can afford. So I think that's another thing, man. Be very honest with people. Hey, Mac, I know this is exciting and this is good. Can you afford this? Can you afford this for the next 6 months? Because we don't have to do the Bentley today. We can start with the VW Bug, and in 6 months we can add some more.
Yeah.
I think that's important for sure. Here's the other thing, man. If you have a client and you tell them, hey, I'll call you in a couple days to let you know that you're approved, you damn better call them. You know, you can't tell them that and then not ever talk to them again, man. You got to reach out to those people and let them know what's up. I think that's important as well. But build a strong enough why, and you'll reduce them.
You ever follow up with the people who say no, who don't apply at the home?
Yeah, I have. It's hard to get a hold of them. You know what I mean?
Right. It's good.
But, it'll happen.
Listen, guys, at the Hall of Fame dinner, and actually at the very end of the Saturday session of conference, you'll see all these people walk on the stage. We have a record number of them. And some of them some of them you don't know. Every one of them has a story. One of them you're going to see is this guy, Wyatt. And I appreciate him just being transparent with us, because regardless of what's happening right now, he knows the future and he knows the trajectory. So when you see him on stage at the next conference, you'll know that even with the challenges that you're having, he's a normal person and he still did the deal. So the hope is that this is the calm before the storm. This is the normal guy before he became a superstar. And we bring on these different kind of people who are already having these high accolades. We didn't know them. We didn't know Grady Paulson when he was only doing 30 families a month, when he only had 50 families his team was helping. But here's a chance where you have to meet a Wyatt S. Thank you. I'm not going to say that last name. A Wyatt S. before
it's all good.
You know who he is. So Wyatt, I appreciate you, man. Anything that you need from us, let us know. But guys, thank you for being on. If you thought this was good, we're going to have another guest speaker next week. Until then, take care, take charge. We'll see you next week.